Hi and welcome to episode 26 of the This Is Reportage podcast. My name is Alan Law, I'm the founder of This Is Reportage, and I'm a wedding photographer too. Today I'm really excited to have the fab Dominique Shaw of York Place Studios with us. With a whopping 13 TiR Awards under her belt, including 6 Story Awards, Dom has been in our top photographers of the year list for the past 2 years in a row, and alongside her brother Liam forms the inimitable duo that is York Place Studios. As well as this podcast episode today, we'll be having a Facebook Live with Dom within the next week or so too, where you'll be able to ask her anything about what you've heard her say in the episode today, or just any questions at all. Keep an eye out on our social media channels for the exact time and date for that. Stick with us today as Dom shares so much, including tips for getting into street photography, what it's like working with her brother, what makes her happy, how she built her style, her top tips for layering and shooting without flash, the story of one of her specific Reportage awards, and so much more. Hey Dom, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Alan?
I'm really good, yeah, thank you. Well, as good as can be expected, I guess, in this time. Yeah, how are you? How are you coping?
Yeah, we're fine. Obviously I haven't seen Liam for a while now, but we're talking every day on kind of Zoom chats and stuff.
Oh,
And yeah,
that's
we're good.
nice.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's obviously tricky, but we're lucky that that we can deal with it and that everyone's safe and well and healthy, and that's the most important thing right now.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Same here. We're all fine, bunkered down in Cornwall. How's it affected your weddings? Have you had many postpone?
Well, we actually had a really quiet April, which was it was by design because we had a very busy March and February. So we decided to basically take April off.
No.
So Liam was going to be going on holiday, and me and Matt were we're going to spend the time gardening and staying at the house and barbecuing. Which is exactly what we've done, which is a little bit random.
That is random. That's worked out well,
enforced.
though. Oh, yeah, it is, I guess. But that's worked out well, though. That's pretty handy, I guess, in that way. Yeah, bizarre.
Yeah.
But have you had any of your summer ones yet postponed or anything? Cool.
A few. We had a few in May and a few in June, but we've been able to just change the date, and it's not being too tricky. Whereas, like if it'd been like April, and we'd had a bunch of weddings in there, then that would have been, I think, more chaotic because people would have been like, okay, like instant problems. Whereas we had a bit more time to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. And have your client's been okay with postponing and things? I guess it's scary for them as well for us, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were just talking to a couple today who want to book us for next year, and we were like, yeah, this is what we've been doing, because obviously people ask, and it's like, we're just moving the dates and communicating, just treating people kindly and how I'd want to be treated.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it, isn't it? It's cool. Let's move on from that massive elephant in the room, but let's go. So you mentioned him already. You're in business with your brother, Liam Shaw, of course, which is pretty unique, I think, in our industry. I don't actually know of any other brother and sister team in our industry. What is it like working with a sibling, and yeah, how did that come about?
Yeah, I don't think there is any other brother and sister teams that I can think of. Well, we started working together in 2006.
A long time.
Yeah, quite a pretty long time now. I was like 21 at the time, and I just finished university, and I studied photography, and
Okay.
I got this opportunity to buy the studio, and Liam also he'd finished university a few years ago, and we decided to go in it together, which was really cool. And then we started off, and we were doing like portraits and anything really. Kind of what would pay the bills.
Yeah.
And we did jewelry, we did like lots of like fine art, like not fine art, like a lifestyle kind of, products.
Oh, okay.
People.
Well.
Anything that we could get our hands on really, and learn and figure out what we liked, I guess, and also pay the bills.
And had you shot any weddings like individually before you teamed up together?
So I shot my first wedding when I was 16.
Wow, that's mental. 16.
Yeah, I shot a bunch actually, but I shot my first one when I was 16.
How did that happen? How did you get a wedding at 16?
Well, it was for a friend, and I shot it with black and white film.
Wow, cool. Wow.
And I did it
nice.
actually in a documentary kind of way. That was sort of what was natural to me, what I enjoyed. And at 16, I didn't have any kind of the baggage of when I started again at 21, which I know there's not that much of a gap in years, but like all of a sudden you started thinking about, oh, how am I going to pay the mortgage and et cetera, et cetera. Whereas when I was 16, you know, I was living at home and I just thought this is how I'd like to shoot it. And I shot it in black and white film, shot it candidly, didn't pose anything. And
Oh, really? Wow.
Good, natural.
That's cool. What year was that then?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
It's a quick math. Well, a long time ago anyway. Wow.
Yeah.
And then you did some more weddings before teaming up with Liam then? I mean, did you really enjoy that first one? Wasn't it really scary at 16? I can't imagine it at 16.
Yeah, I don't know. I think even when I was 21, I just had this strong sense that it was going to be okay. You know, I was going to make it work. At 16, I was more, what was it like? So it was like year 2000 or something. Yeah, I was more, I was just leaving school. So it was just fun, you know, it was just a fun thing to do. Whereas when I was 21, I did feel, even though I was young, looking back, I felt the responsibility of making a business work. But I always just thought it was going to work out. I was going to make it work. I was just going to work hard and keep going.
Well, you definitely made it work as well. You definitely made it work. And so you said then as well, you actually studied photography, which a lot of wedding photographers don't actually. Like I didn't as well. Did you find that really helpful actually studying photography? Did they teach you about the business side as well, or was it?
So yeah, so they didn't teach you about the business side. So my whole family, obviously Liam, but my mom and my grandpa, they weren't photographers, but they loved photography. So photography was just kind of in the family, and we always used to take pictures. So it was it was easy decision to go to college and university to study it. But I didn't study commercial photography. I studied fine art photography. Okay. So I studied, the photographers, Martin Parr, Harry Gruyette, Bruce Davidson. These are the people that I loved and that I would learn about. And we had history lessons of photography, and we just sit and you talk about for like an hour or something. And we'd sit in our class and we just learn about one photographer, like a lecture. It was so good.
That just sounds good. But then what about then? So nothing on the business side at all?
Nothing on the business, because I didn't think I was going to be a wedding photographer. I wanted to be a photographer, but I thought I wanted to be a fine art photographer. Right, I wanted to be one of those guys. And I didn't, even when I was 21, I didn't really connect the dots that I could do fine art photography, real photography at weddings. I just thought they were separate, like traditional photography and, what I do now, more photography, which was fascinating, but I just didn't see it like that. I thought, traditional, pay the bills, and that was what people wanted. I thought that's what the industry wanted. I thought that's what couples wanted, and that's what we did for years. In fact,
yeah. I was going to ask about that now, because now your style is really quite unique with your kind of street photography influence and often deeply layered stories within single frames. Did that style? I mean, you mentioned how you shot your first wedding. You still shot it in a candid way, but did you have that kind of layered style back then, or was it something that appeared over time? How did it work for you two?
So I guess for kind of the. When I was 16, it's really difficult because when you're 16, you're 16,
Yeah.
You're not thinking of anything other than it's more instinctual, I guess. And my instinct was to shoot kind of documentary and candid. When it came to making money, I thought, well, people are going to want the pose shots and, the traditional shots of the bride and those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And then just slowly, it was a really slow progression, Alan, really slow. We just gradually started honing and figuring out what we really loved. And I kind of went back to the start, if you will, because I already knew how I wanted to shoot. I kind of just forgotten, in kind of the baggage of making money and paying bills and stuff. I'd forgotten that what I really, really loved, which was real photography, and that those influences started to bleed back into our work. First without using flash, and then the kind of the layered street style, kind of the humor. All these things were already there. I just I almost put them in a box and said, right, well, that's, that there's kind of the fine art photography, and then there's the, traditional, and the traditional makes money and the fine art doesn't. But obviously that's not true at all. But that was what we thought at the time.
And was there a certain point then, like a certain maybe point in your career that, I don't know, you kind of really intrinsically started to know then that you could really do it in the way that you wanted to do it? Was there a proper turning point for you, or was it just totally gradual then, and suddenly you've come to this stage now?
I mean, it was very gradual. There was just like little kind of like inspirational, like, oh, okay, that's something we could work with that, and we were always talking. So back when we started the business, me and Liam, we lived in flats above each other. I was in the top one and he was in the middle one. And
that's cool.
Our partners worked away a lot.
Right.
And so we spent all our time just talking photography, watching movies, discussing them, dissecting them, stopping in the middle of like the movie and saying, oh, what do you think of this? And could we do this? And do you like this? A lot of questions, so many questions. Like what did we like? Why? And I didn't even occur to me at first it was just wedding photography traditional. And then as the journey kind of went on and it was kind of a gradual, I was like, okay, what do I like? What do I like shooting? And then it was about like, oh, can we actually do that at our wedding? And it was just all gradual, just tiny little like moments. I suppose one of the big moments like later on was like in 2016, when we got the Fujifilm X Pro 2, right, which was just fitted kind of what we wanted to achieve. So we already knew what we wanted to achieve and we were trying to do it with the Canon, but it just wasn't working. And then when we got the Fuji X Pro 2, the way that it felt and the way that the images look just fitted in with the style that we wanted to create.
Yeah, okay, cool. That's perfect. And are you still shooting with the Fujis now?
We are, yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Because are you ambassadors? Are you ambassadors?
Yeah, yes, we're Fujifilm X photographers. Yeah.
Nice, very nice. That's cool. So, you're not tempted to try those Sony things that everyone's trying?
No. I mean, the Fujifilm cameras just really work for us. They as soon as I've been on a Fujifilm journey for quite a while. Like I had the X-T1 and Liam used to tell me off because I used to be at weddings and I'd be shooting more with that camera than with the Canon. And he'd be like, but there's no backup, Dom. You've got to use the Canon because it's got the backup. And I was like, yeah, I know, but it's just, I don't feel it as much. So it was quite amusing really that from the X-T1, I don't know what year that came out, I was using it, but it was only when the X Pro 2 came out when it had the dual backup and it had other things as well, like the EVF. I was like, okay, yeah, this camera works for us. That's cool. Actually, we bought two to take to Cuba with us, and then we did a wedding with it. And I did it. I think Liam had one, and I had two. And I think I was calling the wedding, and I just sent him a message saying, you've got to go just fully Fujifilm. Like that was it. It was like, and we didn't look back because
that's cool.
All our pictures that worked in the way that we wanted to do were on that camera.
That's cool. That's great. That's worked really well for you guys. Yeah, that's brilliant. Cool. Okay, let's change tack slightly. Dom. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? What makes you happy?
Oh, what makes me happy? I love being at home.
Yeah, that's so handy then.
Yeah, like there's a reason why it was our chosen holiday destination. Because we travel a lot, and like I love our street photography trips. They're amazing. And all the kind of some of the destination weddings we do, we don't do as many as others, but when we do them, they're amazing. They're great, and we travel for talking and stuff. Great, but I do love home. I'm a homely person, and I live in the countryside, and barbecues, sun. All the things that I can do right now, I'm very grateful for that. So I guess, that and
that's cool.
And getting to be creative in some kind of form. They're the two things that make me the happiest.
That's cool. Well, that's good. Yeah, I just need the sunshine now. I don't know where it is where you are at the moment, but it's awful down here in Cornwall at the moment. Need some sun.
Oh, really? It's really sunny.
Is it?
We're having a barbecue after this.
Are you really? Oh, yeah. Nice. If you weren't a wedding photographer, what would you do for a living?
Oh gosh. Well, I've always been a photographer of some sort. Like I've never had a real job. I've always just had a hobby that got out of control.
That's a good way of putting it.
What would I do? Well, I love music. That's how myself and my husband met.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I sang and played the tenor sax. So
Oh,
we
really?
did jazz
Wow. Oh,
together.
oh, really? Oh, that's cool. Do you still do that then?
No, I mean I sing because I love to sing, but I haven't got out the tenor sax in a long time. You know what? I may do.
Yeah.
I won't have the right kind of mouth for it anymore though, because you kind of hone kind of the skills of it.
Okay.
But I could try again, definitely.
Yeah, I want to see a viral video of you entertaining the whole street, Dom. I think that has got to be done.
We only live in like a tiny row of houses, so it's all in the countryside. So I mainly be just, the pheasants would like it, yeah,
Yeah,
the rabbits.
it'd be like a scene from Snow White with all the kind of the animals coming and singing with you or something. That could be.
Oh,
You got
that's
to do
nice.
it. So let's go back to you, just because it is, because it is quite a unique kind of situation that to be in a business with your sibling. I just find it very interesting because I know for a fact, and I hope my sisters are not listening, but there's no way I could be in a business with my sister at all. Do you guys have like specific roles on the day itself? Do you have like specific roles in the business side of it as well, or do you both just kind of do everything? How do you work it out?
So I do the culling and the admin, and Liam does the editing.
Okay.
And sort of between, I think Liam generates lots of ideas, and then we'll talk about them because I think it's just how it kind of works with the role. It's not like roles decided. It's just sort of, we've been doing that for so long. We used to cull together and we used to edit together. When I told you about us living in the flats above each other, like we do all that process together because I think we needed to learn things about the cull, like, okay, what do we like about this? What could we have done better? And the same with the editing, we were sort of obsessed with one point about how images looked, and we wanted a timeless feel. We didn't want it to age, and we noticed that like the trends went in and out. So we were really like focused on that. Whereas now we're happy with kind of the style that, the edit and the cull. We don't live together anymore. I think if we lived in the same town, we'd probably work in the studio still. And then we would discuss edits and calls together, but we don't need to. And if we have to discuss something, which sometimes we do, then we'll just do it through Zoom, which works.
That's handy. Yeah, that's good. Oh man, but it feels to me like you've got the short straw there doing the cull. I hate the cull. I hate the cull so much. Do you not mind it? No.
Some people, you can say that to him when you do his interview. You got the good one. I don't mind. I do enjoy it. There is a real satisfaction looking through and finding, particularly with layering, finding the very best image because, just because it's layered doesn't mean that it works. There has to be, a lot of other things. It's got to have a moment or humor or story, so it's quite a satisfying process actually.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, and you call both yours and Liam's images, yeah?
I do.
Man, that must be a fair few to go through as well.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we don't do that many weddings, so it's not like you see when we first started as well, or at least when we got ourselves established, we were doing like 46 to 52 weddings, and in those days, we didn't shoot as much, but there was a lot to go through, and it was very difficult to manage. Whereas one of our decisions, because when we've been going for I don't know since it was like I think it was 2014, when we were like, you know what, things are getting a little bit monotonous. We need to try and we want to be in this business like for the long haul. We don't want to be burning out. We don't want to get bored or get disinterested. So we had to kind of find ways. And one of the ways was through street photography, and street photography taught us, new techniques that we could then implement in weddings. But it was all about like how do we maintain longevity in this job? Because it evolves and changes, and you can't take anything for granted.
No, that's so important, isn't it? Yeah, it's so important. I think about the future. And for me personally, actually making it more interesting for me was a change in camera system when I changed from Coney. It's like a mix of it's a hybrid system that no one uses. It's unique. When I changed from Canon to Sony, that was one reason for me just to kind of reinvigorate my love for it, really. And that really helped. So your street photography influences, though, did you both, were you into street photography just as a hobby, like whilst you were doing your weddings, or how did that come about? Did you think I wanted to get some different inspiration, so you looked to street photography, or was it again just quite natural?
Well, I guess it was natural because I'd spent a long time at university studying different photographers and I loved all their work. And there was like a big library in my university and I would go and I would just look at all the photography books. And it was amazing. And I loved Martin Parr and I'd just go through all the books. And there was a huge collection. So and that was sort of always quite natural. But then doing the street photography itself, I think it was one of my assignments at university was to do street photography. Which was really fun, but it wasn't the kind of street photography I would do now. It was very much about reflections and, it was more basic, but I was starting out and, I remember one of my tutors saying like, oh, one time you'll be, you won't be thinking about apertures and shutter speeds. It will just come naturally. And I was like, yeah, right. but eventually after, periods of time, it does become instinctual and you do just start believing how you shoot is right for you and trust in yourself, trust in how you shoot. And yeah, street photography. It was Liam actually who started it up again because his partner, she goes to lots of different kind of conferences abroad and he started going with her and just taking his camera and shooting it. And it was like working really well. And then we started putting them on our blog. And some of our couples were like booking us because of those pictures.
That's very cool.
Like, that's interesting. We were like, they'd prefer that than our wedding work. So we just started doing it together more and more. And when we went to Cuba, I think that was a big trip for us in terms of that was when we started using the Fujifilm X Pro 2. So that was kind of like the camera was, it was, I think it's really interesting on street trips as well, or just taking street photography in general, is you can experiment with things that you wouldn't do at weddings because at weddings you've got, you can't not get something, whereas you can just practice and play with something that like a lens or a camera system or a style, there's things that you can just play with out, it's like a playground street photography. You can just go out and play and see what works.
Were you scared doing it at first? Like, was it, because I've never done street photography actually. I know maybe a lot of people listening will be interested in doing it, but maybe, a bit nervous. Do you have any kind of tips for people that maybe are a bit nervous?
Smile.
Oh, really?
Smile. Just be really open. And if anyone did ask, show them the picture, like just be kind, be gentle, be nice. These are the things that, are really important to me and Liam, and we would never want someone to feel uncomfortable having their picture taken, so that,
and I guess that same advice carries across to the way you shoot at weddings as well. I guess it's similar. Yeah,
I do think that if you're a very in tune with your emotions, kind of, that definitely shows in your photography because you're very empathetic. So yeah, I would say that kind of person works very well on the street, but it depends on what kind of street photography you want to take because there's so many different types. There's tons, I mean, for me and Liam personally, we like things that are about human behavior and honest kind of real imagery. But other people are like really, into kind of just working with shadows and light, which we play with, but we always want to have like a human element really that kind of ties it together.
Well, that's cool. And it's like weddings kind of perfect for that as well, aren't they? They're all about the people, all about the human touch and relationships.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love street photography, but weddings is so, I love. Like I'm missing it.
Oh yeah. Weddings pay a bit better than street photography as well.
They do, but it's never about the money for myself and me. We've never chosen anything in our career that was kind of based on money because we always want it to be about things that work for us. So kind of either our happiness or happiness of our couples, so we've never chosen to do anything for the money. And it just makes us happy that way.
Yeah, that's the best way to just go through life, isn't it? It really is. On the day itself, do you have set roles where does one of you do bride prep, the other does groom prep, or do you mix that up? Or
I always do. Yeah, it's interesting. I always do bridal prep, and Liam always does groom prep. There's been occasions where maybe we've swapped for a reason, but that's what we do. But that we could easily swap it if we wanted to.
And do you like, do you still, I don't, do you still do, if couples want, like certain, if they want a few group shots, do you still do those at your weddings?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the bride and groom, they are, if they want anything on the day, then absolutely not a problem, because I want them to be happy. So we'll take anything that they'd like. Because there's two of us as well, it doesn't like really affect the documentary, which is really nice. So I tend to do the groups.
Okay.
I know some of my favorite like documentary moments have happened during the groups. And that leaves Liam free to do the reportage, kind of throughout that. And so I there's never like a break in the proceedings, which is really nice, actually.
Oh, that's cool. That works out really well. Yeah, that's great. Do you, because you are brother and sister, do you ever have like any kind of like massive screaming, shouting arguments at each other?
I love that you keep asking this. You're like, you can't just get along.
No, you can't. It's not possible.
No, we are sickeningly very very in tune with each other. We don't shout or argue. We agree on everything to do with our business as well. We are so lucky. We didn't really consider it until like later on, when people started saying to us like, "Oh, but you agree on everything." But it's like, yeah, we do. And we always say, if we're looking at imagery, and if one person if both people aren't that sure about the picture, it means it's not that good. Like, you know what I mean? So we never argue over imagery. We never argue over our business. We always agree on the direction it's going to go as well, which really helps.
Yeah,
it really does.
That's quite amazing, really. I mean, not even just as brother and sister, this is any two people in life to have that kind of oh, what's the word? I can't think of the word, but you're totally kind of almost as one then, really, in everything. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is really unusual. I mean, again, I didn't really think about it until people started asking me, but it's true. Like, because I was 21 when we started, my decision of how we were going to start shooting, it could have varied really differently to Liam's. He could have been like, I want to do documentary, and I could have been like, I really want to do the portraits. And, that could have actually been a really interesting development as well, having someone who's passionately about one thing and one or the other. But as it is, we're incredibly in tune with each other. Yeah,
that's awesome. No, it's very, very cool. Very cool. And is your studio that you got originally, was that on a street called York Place?
Yeah, we still have it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, so I get where you get the name from. I get it.
Yeah, so it's in Scarborough. We literally had a couple asking us this today. They were like, so where are you based? Not in York. It's like, no, the street in Scarborough is called York Place. And the studio is called York Place Studios.
Very cool. Yeah. Do you still use the studios for other kind of work? Because you run workshops as well. Do you do your workshop there?
Sometimes we do workshops there. Fujifilm have done a few workshops there recently, which is nice. That's cool. But we've also done workshops at other places as well, because we're not based in Scarborough anymore. Obviously, I'm in Broughton, which is near Malton, near York kind of area, and Liam's in Gateshead. We don't go to the studio every day anymore, but we still own it. We still love it. And we do some of our workshops there. That's
cool. And talking of workshops, you are going to be speaking at Doc Day next year. Is it March? It's March, isn't it?
I think it's March. I like the plug. Yeah. I know. that was nice. I'm really excited about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, last year's event was great. It's going to be awesome to have you there, and so a great lineup of speakers as well. And that's exciting.
It's an amazing lineup of speakers. Yeah, oh man, I can't wait just to be. We'll be allowed out the house.
No, fingers crossed. Anyway,
I hope so. Yeah, I was saying to a couple, like, I think that people are going to be so excited to just party.
So true.
And hug. Oh, I miss hugging.
Oh yeah, all those hugs that we photograph like week in, week out, and it's weird, isn't it? That's not happening at the moment.
Yeah, we've been going through our work from years and years and years, just looking through our images, which is really fun, and it's a great way of like seeing if there's anything that you didn't see the first time round. Like looking at it with fresh eyes. You're like, that's cool. That actually was an image that I should have had in our portfolio. So it's a really good process. And also it just, all the hugs and all the little moments, I miss them. I really do.
Yeah. How do you think, what are your thoughts on what's going to happen? Some people are thinking that weddings are going to be a lot smaller affairs, and then there's other trains of thoughts where people are thinking, that it's going to be a time where, they've been in lockdown for so long, they want to have as bigger kind of parties as possible. How do you think it's going to go?
Gosh, I don't know. And it's evolving and changing so fast. I wouldn't even, I wouldn't, I really don't, I'm really not sure. I mean, I think at first there will be smaller groups. Some of my weddings that are in kind of like August are saying, oh yeah, we're hoping to go ahead, but with, less people. And we did a wedding just before the lockdown,
Really?
which was the 20th of March, I think.
Oh, wow.
And that was a lot smaller of an event, but it still happened. And it was still absolutely lovely. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, it didn't matter that there was less people. All the people that they really loved were there. And my wedding was small. I think I only had 30 people, but it didn't matter at all.
Yeah, no, it's so true. I was going to ask you about that as well, actually, with smaller weddings, because I think the videography arm of York Place Studios is, I think, is your other brother Alex and your husband Matt. Is
That's
that
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
family affair.
if you're all shooting a wedding together, do your family sometimes like outnumber the bride or groom's family?
I mean, we don't shoot that many weddings, all four of us together anymore, because we tend to just do one, like either Matt or Alex. But yeah, the guests are always like, "You're all family," which is really nice.
Do you have your own like kind of table? Do they give you a proper table at the wedding breakfast?
Sometimes we do.
Oh, I think that's so cool. That is so nice. And so, I mean, how did that happen as well? Was that just a natural extension of you doing weddings, and I guess your husband was into the video side and your brother, and yeah, I guess it was just a natural thing.
Yeah, it was. Matt, my husband, was he was a lighting and sound designer, and he was just wanting to look at something else, I mean, more a different creative field, and we could see that video was going to be quite big in the industry. This was quite a lot of years ago now, at least 6. And we were like, well, we didn't want to start doing video. We wanted to we love photography. But we were like, there is definitely a gap in the market here. If you guys are interested. And they started to come along to weddings and they love it. And they do a lot on their own as well. And we do some together.
Oh, that's cool. That's great. And do you have any tips in general for working with videographers? I guess you don't mind working with videographers? I guess you have to say that though, in case your husband and brother are listening.
I think just communication is the most important thing. Just, and being nice and talking and friendly. That's the most important thing. And normally, when we're doing kind of the reception, we're looking for different moments anyway. Right, so it's not an issue.
Cool. Yeah. Okay. It's so rare for me to work with the videographers. I think it's only about, I don't know, 3 or 4% of my weddings have a videographer. It's just quite rare, I find.
Yeah, we haven't got that many. A few with the boys, or with one of them, but mostly we've got them on our own.
Right. Yeah. Do you ever shoot as a side issue? Do you ever shoot weddings solo? You on your own and Liam on his own, or?
We could, and we haven't done in the past, but it's not something that we, you can always make twice as much money if you did that, but it's not about money for us.
That's so cool.
For us, we just prefer working together. The process we enjoy. After the wedding, we'll kind of like talk about it and like, oh, what could we have done better? What we can improve on. Like we're always chatting and discussing and figuring things out, and during the food break, where everyone's having dinner, Liam might show me an image, or I might show him an image, and that'll get us really revved up and excited for the next part. So it's just a cool. Really great atmosphere and feel to have. I don't mind doing them on my own, but I just love working with Liam. So why would I?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's so great. It's so cool to hear, and you can hear it in your voice. And I've been lucky to met you in the flesh a few times as well. You just how much you both just love photography. It's like in your blood. You just love it, which is so awesome to hear. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, I know. We really, really do. Like it's just. I just love being creative. I'm so fortunate that I get like couples that want to that are like on board with our style and invested in it, you know, like that's the best thing for me, you know, creating images for our couples that they couldn't imagine, you know. We want to exceed their imaginations, you know. That's what we want to do. We want to kind of
and you do, I'm sure.
Push the boundaries of what they expect.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then you touched upon it earlier, I think, how some of your clients kind of mentioned your street photography work. So I imagine that must be quite often with your clients. They must really be people who, you know, really understand photography, really, I guess. So are they often kind of artistic, kind of creative people?
Yeah, pretty much exclusively, actually. Either writers or artists or photographers or wedding photographers or directors, like every form of creativity. The people we're talking today, they had a restaurant, you know, but it was a creative restaurant, you know. They were talking about it, and
that's cool.
They were mentioned. They were like, "Oh, we love your works of like Martin Parr," and you know, they were telling us about what they loved about our photography, and I was just sitting back going, "Wow, that's pretty amazing."
That's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Do you have a favorite, just to go on to a technical thing? I don't often talk about technical stuff on the podcast, but do you have a favorite kind of lens or favorite focal length?
The 23 1.4, definitely. Okay. I had to do something recently where I was like, if you had your favorite lens and camera, what would it be? And it was the X Pro 2, and it was the 23 1.4, because it's just the one that's constantly being used for us. You know, it's 95% of our images are taken on it, and I just love the focal length.
Do you find that helps with your kind of layering? So do you have any tips? Because obviously a big aspect of your work is the layering, and I think a lot of people kind of aspire to that. Do you have any tips for layering?
Yeah, it's about looking for balance. You know, well, it is for us anyway. Like we're looking, so like if you could draw like a around all the people, you know, so there's no like heads on heads or like arms sticking out. Now some people that's a style that they choose, but myself and Liam have like a set of rules that we adhere to, that we always use to keep ourselves consistent, and what we want to give kind of a style for. And one of them is kind of like cleaning up images. So if an image has like a hand coming out of a back and it looks wrong, you know what I mean? Or a head on head and it looks untidy, then it doesn't get included. So we're quite that must take a lot of time and effort. So I think that's really cool, how you must be specifically, you know, getting that composition and movement and weighting. I guess it's a combination of all those kind of elements. Yeah, we're more kind of like hunters on the wedding day, as opposed to kind of like, we like hunt down composition as opposed to wait for things, because weddings are so fast moving. So it's better to kind of hunt it down. But yeah, for us, like the set of rules is really important. I think if you're a duo, it is important to kind of have an agreed set of rules, or, you know, just so that everyone knows on the same page. No,
that's true. Yeah. I get, and just while I think about it, when you're both so similar again, does that mean you both order the same meal at McDonald's after a wedding?
Yeah, we do.
Oh, do you really? Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I can't have bread, so because I'm gluten free. Oh, okay. But I still have the burger, quarter pounder with cheese. Nice. And just
without a bun.
Bread. Yeah, we are similar actually. We like the same movies. Yeah, we do. Same sense of humor as well. I think, you know, as we were brother and sister, we saw the same TV shows, children's TV shows when we were younger, and we like the same stuff.
Are you sure you're not twins? You're not twins. It's like magically years apart.
No, but we are very twinny in that way. Yeah,
that's cool. Let's talk about one of your specific Reportage Awards. The one that features like two boys looking at a phone, or it looks like maybe it's a phone or a console, and behind them is a TV character in the background, which is and the character appears to be looking at their screen. I think it's a character from Paw Patrol, actually, isn't it? I think it is. But yeah, can you tell us about that? I mean, are you always looking for that? Are you always looking for those kind of opportunities? How did that specific image happen?
Yeah, we are always looking for those kind of moments. You know, that's what really drives us and what we get excited by on the wedding day. In this particular instance, it was a bridal prep, but everyone had gone up to kind of shower, like there wasn't anything else going on apart from these two children looking at, I think it's a console.
Okay.
And they were just that was all that was going on, really. They were just there in the room, and it was quite a dark room, as I recall, and kind of messy. It was like a children's room. It was like the children's room next to the bridal prep room. And I went in there, and they were obviously doing that, and I saw the TV was on, and I always try and see if I can connect them in some way, connect the TV and the children or whoever it is in the frame, the key character, to it. And in this instant, I think it is Paw Patrol.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
And the little character sort of leaning in and looking at the children's console, which I thought was really amusing. And I just waited and watched. That was actually definitely one of those kind of waiting moments, because I had time. It was bridal prep, and it wasn't like there was anything else going on. So I was like, okay, let's just wait and see what happens on this TV. And I didn't wait that long, actually. But what I love about that image is that someone else is taking a picture of that character, the TV character, in it.
Really, as well?
Yeah, there's there's a macro and there's a landscape, and someone is taking a photograph of the character. So there's someone's taking a picture of the character, and then I'm taking a picture of the character and the children.
Man, that is postmodern Inception stuff. No, it's a proper cool capture anyway. And if people are listening to this, whilst doing their one bit of daily exercise or something, then check it out in the post on thisreportage.com, and you'll see the image as well. No, it's a great image. And I guess, personally for me, one thing that I love about weddings, I think it's similar for you, is that, we don't just focus on the big moments. It's all these kind of little moments which are, almost just as important, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the ones, because like the big moments, they shout out to you, they please photograph me, the speeches and the cutting cake, they're going to happen. You're going to photograph them. They're going to happen. But like the little moments, the kind of the ones that kind of whisper, they're the ones that are more difficult to see, but they're so rewarding when you do get them, because you're like, oh, I was listening, I was thinking, I was in tune enough to get a moment that wasn't one of the big ones. It wasn't like the confetti throwing, it was something much smaller than that. And I find that very satisfying.
That's cool. Totally agree. And do you think, I know what I think, but do you think documentary wedding photography is art?
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely.
I do too. Good.
Being a wedding photographer is so difficult. I have such respect for people who do this job, because we have to be good at so many different things, so many different facets, we have to be good at. So yeah, I have massive respect for anyone who's doing this job. And also it's just such a great job, photographing documentary particularly is just fun, it's just seeing these little moments and capturing them and giving people images of their wedding day. Honestly, I don't think there's a better job.
No, I'm with you. I agree. It's awesome. It's awesome. Have you made any memorable mistakes ever?
Memorable mistakes. That's a tricky one.
That's good. It's good that it's a tricky one. That means nothing major is coming straight to your mind. It's probably for the
mistakes. I can think of bizarre things that have happened at weddings that were wonderful. Which was once. This is a random story, and it's not a memorable mistake, but it's still really cool. So
okay,
I'm going with
it. Yeah, you go for it.
It's there was a bride quite a few years ago now, and her grandma had passed away.
Okay.
And she'd always said that her grandma loved butterflies, and that her grandma and so she had like a theme of butterflies on her wedding day to to keep her grandma spirit, part of the wedding. Anyway, she was they were doing the dress up. The bride was having a dress up, and she put her foot into the dress, and a butterfly flew out.
Oh wow, that's mental.
It was pretty crazy. Yeah. And then everyone started crying.
Oh man.
Because they were just like, oh, grandma's here. It was really lovely. It was really, really, really lovely.
Oh man, that's giving me like little goosebumps. I think that's
it's a really nice story, isn't it? But it's not a mistake, but it was something that came to mind where I was like, that was an unusual element that, that's the thing about weddings. You never know what's going to happen.
No, that's so true. And your story is so much lovelier than mine about the drunk bride who lay down over the cold buffet in the evening for a photo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
What you touched upon earlier as well about, and it's just one element of your work is that a conscious decision that you don't use Flash. Any tips for people who would also like to do that? You know, who don't like using Flash but are just about nervous, are nervous about doing so?
Yeah, I mean, it's way easier than it used to be. When we first started doing it, we were doing it with like the Canon 5D, I believe, and
Okay.
it was a lot trickier then because ISO
Yeah.
levels, I think, well, like highest was at 1600 or something.
Wow. Yeah.
So that was a lot more difficult. So now it is easier. I mean, I would say for the dance floor, try and find something to focus on that, because it's quite difficult to focus on eyes in the dark. So focus on something like a collar, something that kind of that you can focus on that's on the same like plane, but will ensure that that you get it in focus.
Are you like manually focusing at that time or?
Sometimes, not often.
Right.
We
Okay.
basically shoot it like, I guess it's flash, and we look to the light.
Right.
Look, and there is always some light because otherwise everyone would be in the dark,
Yeah,
literally.
that's so true. It's true that. Like, have you ever eaten at that restaurant in London? Like, what's it called, Don Le Noir or something, where it's pitch black?
No. Is
Oh,
that really
cool.
a thing?
It is. It's in that film about time star, but I've been to it. It's one in, I think it's in Farringdon or I don't know. I think they've got a couple, but yeah, and you're led in by like blind waiters and things, and you don't know what you're eating as well. So you're eating the whole meal in the total pitch black, and then afterwards you kind of guess what you were eating. Yes, yeah.
Wow.
You should
I
do
mean,
it.
that wouldn't be good for a celiac. Like,
Oh, right, yeah, that's
you'd have
true.
to say, like, oh, no, gluten-free, please.
Yeah,
So that ruins the surprise a little bit, but yeah, I want to be ill.
you're going to be very sick now.
Yeah, exactly.
No, beforehand you can pick from like a vegetarian meal or like a mixed meat meal or whatever. So it's like a general guideline, but they don't tell you the exact things that you're eating. But anyway,
Wow. I
yeah,
have never that it would be tricky.
it is an experience. Like even trying to pour your own wine in the pitch black, it's yeah.
Whoa, I bet they get through like their cloths
Yeah.
constantly. I bet they're like black or something or horrible,
Yeah.
like, well, no one can see them anyway.
That's so true. Yeah, really cheap decor. Like it's a good
Yeah,
business
it's
model.
probably just a box.
Anyway, sorry, totally went off that tangent. Yeah, but it was just because you were talking about there's got to be a bit of light when you're shooting on the dance floor. Yeah, so I guess there's always a bit of available light.
Yeah, absolutely. There is. I mean, we've shot like weddings, ceremonies by candlelight, but there's always a light source, And with the Fujifilm camera, it's got an APS-C sensor, which means it's a crop sensor, which is that's an advantage for us because it means that more things are in focus on the plane.
Okay.
So
Right,
that works. So like for some people, obviously that's a disadvantage, but for us, it's a massive advantage, an APS-C sensor, and one that we really love.
no, that's cool. And it obviously works so well for you as well. And I think a lot of people saw the quality of your low light work as well when you photographed the first Nine Dots Gathering conference and the partying images. I mean, there was hardly any light there, and the images you got were just awesome.
That was so funny because there was loads of light there. Like everyone said to us like, "Oh, you're going to struggle," and we were like, "No, this is good light. This is fine. We can work with this."
That would have scared so many people, though. A lot of people would have wanted to lit it up with about 4 flashes.
Really? No, we loved it. I mean, oh man, the atmosphere though, without using flash, I mean, it really felt like that's what it looked like. I mean, one of the reasons why we don't use flash is that there's two of us and we wanted to have everything consistent, and we also wanted it to be like our street work as well. And so we've chosen to have nothing with flash, and then therefore everything, like we can put street images into our Instagram feed, for instance, and they look the same,
That's so cool. Do you talk to clients beforehand about why you don't use flash, or I mean, do you talk about that kind of technical stuff beforehand or not?
Sometimes if they ask, but most people they don't tend to book us for they used to. So there's been transitions in our career, and one of them was that we didn't use flash, and then it was that we didn't do portraits, or it's not, although we would and do, it's not like it's a big selling point, and we don't show them at all. Same with groups, so people don't want that kind of style. And now it's more that people like the street style wedding photography, which means that people book us for our reception photographs, not as much for our dance floor work.
Right.
So
Okay.
it is definitely for some couples of ours that's still like a something that they choose to go for. But mostly now it's because of our reception and our street style work.
Right. Okay. Cool. And you mentioned earlier as well how you've shot weddings of fellow wedding photographers. Have you done that a few times now? Do you find them more exciting, or is it scarier?
It's the same, really. I mean,
Really?
most of our couples are really creative, as I was saying, like they're directors, so you kind of get used to that sort of level of like bringing it, and we want to for each couple. I don't get nervous because I know I'm going to just shoot how I see the world, and I can't change how I'm going to see the world. If I used to get quite nervous because I was like, I can't do photographs like X photographer, but now I'm like, no, I'm just going to shoot how I shoot, which is the same as Liam, which is really advantageous, and do that kind of style, and that they love it and we love it. And it just makes you feel not nervous. It makes you feel comfortable and eager.
That is so cool. That is such a cool, great way to look at it. And I need to feel like that. I really do. I really wish I did. I really need to.
Well, it takes time. I mean, how long have you been shooting?
Oh, this would be, I think, like my 7th or 8th year now. So I'm not that new.
No, but it does. I mean, I would say it at least took 5 to 6 years for us to feel like truly comfortable. And, it's only since like 2015 that we're feeling like that, okay, this is the kind of style. And it's really only since like 2016, 2017, when we took the graveyards picture.
Oh yeah.
That was 2016. So yeah, that time when we started to feel more comfortable in our own photography skin, if you like, and like this is how we shoot, this is what we love, and just embraced it, went all in.
No, that's cool. I think that's really great advice as well for anyone listening. And talking of advice, you were one of our first ever judges. You were for a judge on the very first collection of Reportage. So
I was, yeah.
Yeah, and thank you again for that, because you trusted in me for making this thing before you even knew what it was. You agreed to be a judge, which I'll always be really thankful for.
Pleasure. It was an easy decision.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a big deal. It was a big deal to have you as a judge. Thank you. And you've won loads of awards yourself, and obviously you've been a judge. Do you have any tips for submitting, as a judge and a multi-winner yourself?
Tips? I mean,
I know it's a big subject.
I try and choose images that I really love. And therefore, if they win, I'm delighted. And if they don't win, I'm like, well, I love them. So I feel really comfortable with that. I would never want to choose an image thinking, oh, well, this is an award-winning image, whatever that really means. I would rather have an image that I love and that fits our brand, that fits our style, because otherwise you can get known for an image that doesn't fit your style, your brand, what you're trying to achieve, and that can really confuse the message between your couples and in between photographers as well who follow you.
That's so true. Yeah, and that's a really good idea. Anything for stories specifically? Because you've won loads of stories. I think you've won like 6 story awards or something, which is amazing. Any specific thoughts on them? I remember when you were looking at the stories yourself as a judge, what were you kind of looking for?
I mean, I was looking for interesting frames for each part of the day, and something that would either move me in some way, if it was funny, I had to feel something. It didn't have to be funny, or emotional, but it had to be something that made me go, oh, that makes me feel something. That gives me an edge. It feels that image, just because it's so subjective. So everyone's opinion on this is going to be so different. But for me, it has to be something that compositionally is sound, that has story, moment, light, potentially, but actually it's all about the feel. The feel is the most important thing for me. And that is why that every time you can you can put an image in like 4 times, but it won't win, and then someone else will feel it the same way you feel it, and then it'll win.
So true.
I wouldn't worry. I would just choose what feels right for you. And yeah, compositionally interesting is something that I always enjoy.
That's cool. Great. Thank you. That's awesome. Let's I need time for a couple more questions, I think. This has flown by as well.
It has
really
flown
quickly.
by,
yeah. What are you afraid of, Dom?
Afraid of? Wow.
I know it's a penultimate, very light question there.
that's so wow. That's a tough one. What am I afraid of?
You feel us, Dom. It's good.
I'm not fearless. But I'm definitely. I mean, when I was younger, I was much more fearless.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, I think when I was 21, honestly, I was just like, yeah, this business is going to work.
but that's a great mindset to have, though, isn't it? And you've achieved, partly because of that mindset, though, as well.
Yes. But fearless. But sorry, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid of?
Me asking a silly question like that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I've always tried to overcome fears, and like, I mean, I'm not heights. There's nothing I'm afraid of. I'm like, I don't really like heights that much, but at the same time, I'll still, go
on roller coasters and things.
Yeah, I'll still go I don't really like roller coasters.
Okay, really?
I'm not afraid of them, but I'm also not that fond of them.
Oh, really? Just not keen? No?
No, I'm not that keen on that. But in terms of something that I'm truly afraid of.
What about kind of big things? Like, do you ever fear for the kind of future and just if you'll be shooting weddings in 15 years time or anything?
No, not really. I mean, we've been going a long time now, and we're just trying to adapt and change and evolve, and we'll just make it work, I guess that's the similar kind of 21-year-old Dom's kind of expression on it, but it's true. It's like, well, we'll make it work because, well, we have to.
Yeah. Oh, honestly, I think that's such a great attitude. It's just the best attitude to have. It's awesome. It's great. Okay, we got time for one more question then, Dom, which I've not asked in a while. Do you eat the canapes?
Do I eat the canapes? No.
Do you not? No, you don't really. Not at all, ever. Not if they were like little, quarter pounder with cheeses, little. No.
Well, see, I'm a celiac, so that's one of the things. I don't want to be eating something that could potentially have wheat in it. But also, the reception is mine and Liam's favorite part of the day, so we're not going to be wasting it eating. We love the reception. It's when people are being people rather than there being like a structure to the day. So that's our favorite part. So no, I never really considered to eat the canapes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right, great. That was good. I love it. I love all the different answers. I think that's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Awesome. Oh, Dom, we haven't got time. We're running out of time. But thank you so much for that. You were brilliant. So many great bits of information. It's so interesting to hear all about you and about you both. Thank you. It was awesome.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, it's an honor to have you on here. It really is. Yeah, brilliant. Anyone who's listening whilst editing, I always say that, but there's no weddings to edit at the moment. But people might be listening to this in like 6 months' time, going through the backlog. So yeah, if you are, head to thisreportage.com and I'll put loads of links to Dom's work and loads of her award-winning images and that specific reportage award that she spoke about in the piece as well. And I hope I'll be seeing you if we can physically meet up. I guess it'll be in Doc Day in March. That'll be the next time I'll see you.
Second plug. Well done.
Hey, it's our show. I can do that. It's all right.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, no, I cannot wait for Doc Day. It's going to be a real celebration. Yeah, got lots of time to work on the presentation as well, which is exciting.
You do, I guess. And it'll be great. I mean, I've seen you talk twice now. I think, yes, I saw you at Nine Dots and Elevate. Was it last month, Elevate? Or was it last month?
Yeah, March. Is it April? Yeah, March, yeah.
And you were both brilliant. So I'm sure you'll be awesome at Doc Day as well. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you both there. And hopefully sooner if possible. But yeah, it'd be great to
I
see
hope
you.
so, Alan. Yeah, definitely. Go for a cider or something.
Yes, always. Oh, awesome. Thanks so much, Dom, and you stay safe.
Yeah, you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the 26th episode of the This Is Reportage podcast. Really enjoyed chatting to Dom. Hope you enjoyed listening. We'll be having a Facebook Live with her within the next week or so, where you'll be able to ask her anything about what you've heard her say in the episode today, or just any questions at all. Keep an eye out on our social media channels for the exact time and date. Head to thisisreportage.com to see lots of examples of her work, links to the York Place Studios website, and the specific Reportage Awards you talked about today too. We also have lots more episodes of the podcast already released with photographers such as Adam Johnson, Sitlali Rico, Anna Rowland, Sana de Block, Yves Schiepers, and many more. If you have a spare moment to leave us a review on your podcast service of choice, that would be massively appreciated. It's so lovely to know that you're enjoying them. And if you're not yet a member of This Reportage, check out all the benefits of joining us, including an unlimited number of images on your profile, 60 Reportage Award and 18 Story Award entries per year, invites to our physical meetups and parties, exclusive discounts and more. Collection 15 of our awards is now open for entries. Deadline for submission is 23:59 BST on 24th of May 2020. No poses, nothing staged. This is Reportage. And this is bye for now.